one lone hand has raised
subversive.
Actually, that is one more than I expected, I have to be honest.
Really?
Fuck no. Sorry. We are uncensored, but oh my God, the idea there's any comparison.
The chatter had been building all morning, and by the time Piers Morgan hit the airwaves, everyone knew the royal gossip world was about to explode. But no one, not even the most die-hard Meghan Markle watchers, expected the hurricane about to hit Montecito.
Harry and Meghan, when their behaviour became obnoxious, self-serving, and rankly hypocritical.
When Morgan dropped the latest bombshell from his hidden interview, Meghan Markle didn't just react, she completely lost it. And it all began innocuously enough, if you can even call it that. The tension in the air was palpable, like the calm before a storm that no one saw coming. Morgan teased his segment on Twitter, the usual provocative blend of challenge and promise. Think you've heard it all about the Sussexes? Think again, exclusive revelations coming that will shock the world. One tweet alone sent Meghan's legal team scrambling for weeks, trying desperately to control leaks, lock down old interviews, and manage every whisper floating near her name. But Piers Morgan, he had already lit the fuse, setting the stage for total chaos. And chaos is exactly what followed. Morgan opened the segment with his signature mix of bravado and skepticism, the kind that pulls viewers closer, making them lean in, hooked to every word. "Popcorn in hand, ladies and gentlemen," he said, camera zooming slightly for effect. "Thought the Sussexes were done making headlines after retreating to California? Not quite. I've got something you weren't expecting."
Of the royal family or the monarchy, given that two of our most famous young royals have waged a 3-year war.
Something that might explain a lot about why the Duchess of Sussex behaves the way she does in public. Then came the footage, blurred clips, cropped screenshots, and snippets of audio, stuff Morgan claimed had never been seen or heard by the public. Legal battles, Netflix deals, even the infamous podcasts were teased for context. But the real bombshell, Morgan insisted he had access to a hidden interview, capturing private confession moments the public had never been allowed to see, and the intensity of those moments was unlike anything fans had witnessed before. Social media erupted instantly, clips of the teaser spread like wildfire, thousands of shares, memes exploding, hashtags like #MeghanBombshell and #MorganExposes trending across the globe. For Meghan, this was the nightmare every PR team dreads. Every carefully crafted public statement, every Instagram post, every charity spotlight risked being drowned out by whispers of private moments now broadcast in vivid colour to millions. Inside Montecito, sources say Meghan's reaction was immediate and explosive. She reportedly slammed her laptop shut. Her assistant scrambled to console her. Staff, prepped for press inquiries, suddenly went into triage mode, handling calls, drafting statements, consulting lawyers all at once. One insider described it as pandemonium, the likes of which they'd rarely seen before. It wasn't just the content that rattled Meghan, it was the timing. The world believed she was in control, that the Sussex brand was strong, that the narrative had shifted in her favour. Piers Morgan's revelation threatened to unravel every bit of that control.
With the media, everything that she does, they basically lambast the...
And it wasn't just any journalist. This was Piers Morgan, someone vocally critical of her for years, someone who could take a casual comment and spin it into a global story overnight. What made it worse? Sources say it was the precision with which Morgan framed the revelations. He didn't need to lie, accuse, or exaggerate. The editing, the pauses, the strategic cuts, all were designed to amplify drama and tension, making it feel like a deeply personal exposé. For Meghan, watching it unfold in real time was like being under 1,000 flashing spotlights of attack. During the first segment that sparked uproar, Morgan highlighted a portion where Meghan allegedly expressed frustration over her public image, how she felt misunderstood, under attack, and unappreciated. Despite her charitable work and her ongoing efforts to remain visible in Hollywood and London society, he didn't interpret it for the audience. He let the clips speak, and they did. The internet pounced immediately. Critics dissected every word, every pause, every subtle inflection, spinning wild theories across blogs, forums, and social media. Some argued this proved Meghan's supposed vanity. Others said it was the honest expression of someone under relentless scrutiny. grappling with fame and the pressures of royalty. But for Meghan, the debate didn't matter. What mattered was the sheer loss of control. Sources close to the Sussexes say Meghan's first instinct was legal action. Calls were made, emails fired off, legal teams mobilised to see if anything could be contested. But insiders point out it wasn't straightforward. Morgan had cleverly avoided statements that could be legally actionable. He hadn't lied, he hadn't defamed. Yet putting private moments in the public eye like that, in today's media world, it's almost as devastating as an outright attack. Harry, meanwhile, reportedly got caught in the crossfire. Sources describe him as frustrated, trying to calm Meghan while handling his own media fallout. He was furious. Not just at Morgan, but that the narrative had once again shifted toward his wife's vulnerabilities, and by extension, toward him. The couple, who worked tirelessly to maintain a specific public image, suddenly found themselves spiraling back into speculation, criticism, and judgment, and the timing couldn't have been worse. The interview dropped just as Meghan was preparing to ramp up promotional efforts for a new charitable initiative and several media appearances. Sources suggest the fallout forced the Sussexes to delay plans, reassess media strategy, and launch defensive PR campaigns, a domino effect cascading through their carefully curated world, leaving Meghan visibly unsettled and intensifying the pressure on everyone around her. Insiders also claimed Meghan's team was particularly alarmed by the public's reaction. Social media comments were brutal, swinging from ridicule to shock. Memes spread faster than any press release could keep up with. Influencers and media personalities debated endlessly. And as one source put it, Meghan felt the walls closing in. Aware that in the court of public opinion, perception can hit harder than reality, Meghan Markle found herself at the centre of a storm she hadn't anticipated. At the heart of it, according to people close to her, was a sense of betrayal. She had trusted that private words, shared in a controlled interview environment, would never be exposed. Yet here they were, dissected by millions, analysed by critics, and weaponised in ways she never imagined, turning what she thought was safe into public ammunition, leaving her scrambling to contain the fallout and protect her carefully built image. For someone who meticulously curated every detail of her public persona, this sudden exposure was catastrophic. By the time Morgan's segment concluded, it was obvious. The damage was done. Headlines screamed, clips circulated across social platforms, and Meghan Markle, known for her calculated poise, was caught in a rare, unfiltered moment of panic and vulnerability. Those close to her said she was seething, pacing, muttering about betrayal. The palace remained officially silent, but sources suggest there was quiet concern among insiders about how this narrative might ripple through the royal brand. Allies and supporters expressed caution, acknowledging the unfairness of private moments being broadcast, yet warned that in today's media environment, nothing stays private for long. Meghan's strategy of controlling the narrative faced its toughest test yet, and Piers Morgan had delivered it live, in prime time, with ruthless precision. Without mercy, without compromise. By the end of the morning, Meghan's Montecito residence was in controlled chaos. Legal consultations were ongoing, media statements were drafted, revised, and double-checked. Harry provided emotional support while attempting to prevent a media meltdown. And Meghan, she was reportedly analysing every angle, considering every response, bracing herself for the storm that was certain to follow, while simultaneously grappling with the emotional toll of public scrutiny that never seemed to relent. What insiders describe as most striking was Meghan's intensity. This wasn't a minor PR issue. It was an existential threat to the carefully constructed image she had spent years building. A reminder that despite every strategic move, every public appearance, every philanthropy effort, the court of public opinion could shift in a single broadcast, leaving even the most polished persona exposed and vulnerable. As social media continued to explode, one thing became painfully clear. Meghan Markle, who had navigated Hollywood royalty and global media scrutiny with near-perfect finesse, had been caught off guard, and she was furious. The morning after the broadcast, Montecito buzzed with tension. Meghan had barely slept, her thoughts racing as she replayed Morgan's words repeatedly. Her legal team was already on edge, weighing the viability of a lawsuit, the potential backlash, and the inevitable media storm. Every phone call, email, and text seemed to underscore just how exposed she had become. Harry, meanwhile, tried to act as the calm centre in the eye of the storm. Though insiders say he was equally rattled, he remained determined to keep Meghan grounded. One source revealed his frustration. He was not only upset at the relentless scrutiny, but also deeply concerned at how their every step was being second-guessed. Meghan's private moments had been thrust under a public magnifying glass, and there was no escaping it. The Sussexes had spent years meticulously curating their image.
Of our royal family, of the monarchy, of everything the Queen has...
Every charity event, Netflix project, and Instagram post had been orchestrated to present them as relatable, compassionate, and engaged. Yet in one swift move, Morgan's broadcast shredded that carefully cultivated image, leaving them raw, exposed, and vulnerable in a way few could anticipate. According to insiders, Meghan's first instinct was to fight back, fast and decisively. She called an emergency meeting with her PR team, demanding statements, rebuttals, and explanations ready within hours. She wanted the narrative controlled. A source explained, however, that this time the story was out of her hands, and that loss of control was infuriating. The conversation reportedly got heated. Meghan, known for her strategic thinking, allegedly berated her team for letting this happen, insisting they should have anticipated Morgan's move.
Nobody in Britain calls her that. Meghan Markle. She got lucky, met her prince, dragged him out of the bosom of his family.
She demanded a response that could protect her reputation, discredit misleading interpretations, and still maintain her polished, relatable persona. The tension in the room was palpable. Harry, observing Meghan's frustration, reportedly felt a mix of concern and helplessness. He understood her need for control, but also knew that any overreaction could fuel the media frenzy even further. He tried to be the voice of reason, but Meghan was in full crisis mode, cornered, and escalating with intensity. As the day progressed, social media lit up. Clips from Morgan's interview circulated endlessly, dissected by commentators, pundits, and fans. Memes multiplied. Threads on X ran for hours. YouTube commentary exploded. Some were sympathetic, suggesting Meghan's words were taken out of context. Others were merciless, portraying her as vain, manipulative, or worse. For Meghan, watching the online response was like staring into a wildfire, fascinating to outsiders, terrifying to those caught in it. Sources close to the couple describe Meghan oscillating between rage and despair, one moment planning tactical responses, the next retreating into private spaces to regroup and reflect on the broader consequences of the broadcast. Reflecting on the broadcast's implications, Harry tried to suggest a measured approach, but Meghan's team reported she was unwilling to wait or remain quiet. She demanded immediate action. The palace, officially silent, was reportedly monitoring the situation closely. Royal insiders whispered concerns about optics, and private discussions considered how the fallout could impact the monarchy indirectly. Aware of these silent observers, Meghan allegedly became even more defensive, insisting she would not allow the narrative to define her. By midday, a strategy emerged. Meghan's team prepared talking points for selective interviews, drafted social media statements, and even considered legal action. The biggest challenge, insiders say, wasn't just the content, it was timing. Every response had to counter Morgan's influence without making the Sussexes appear reactive or desperate. Timing was everything. Meghan understood that if she acted too quickly or too slowly, the media would twist it against her. Control was slipping. Harry, watching it all unfold, reportedly felt the weight of the situation acutely. He had long championed Meghan's causes, publicly and privately, but the reality of this media storm was unlike anything he had anticipated. Friends close to him said he felt helpless, frustrated, and deeply concerned for his wife's well-being as they navigated a crisis that no strategic plan could have fully prepared them for. He could see the exhaustion on her face, the intensity in her eyes, and the rising tension in their home. As afternoon turned to evening, Meghan reportedly became more aggressive in her approach. She demanded that every media outlet that shared clips be contacted, that each narrative be corrected, and that Morgan himself be publicly challenged. Legal advisors cautioned restraint, pointing out that confronting a figure like Piers Morgan could backfire, but Meghan allegedly brushed aside such warnings. "I will not be silenced," she reportedly told her team. Not this time, not ever. Harry, meanwhile, attempted to mediate between Meghan's instincts and reality. He emphasized that sometimes silence is the better strategy, that not every battle needed to be fought in public. But Meghan, sources claim, was adamant. Allowing Morgan to dominate the narrative without pushback was unacceptable to her. She saw it as an affront, not just to her reputation, but to every strategic effort she had made over the years to maintain influence, relevance, and respect. As night fell, the situation reached a fever pitch. Social media metrics showed a surge in engagement, both positive and negative. News outlets ran follow-ups, dissecting every word, every clip, and every reaction with relentless scrutiny. Friends of the Sussex described the atmosphere in Montecito as tense, relentless, and exhausting. The couple, normally calculated and media-savvy, were navigating a storm that seemed to have no end in sight. Sources close to Meghan described her as a woman on edge, oscillating between determination and frustration. She is not someone who takes setbacks lightly, an insider explained. When she feels attacked, she escalates. She wants to be heard, she wants to be understood, and she wants the world to respect her terms. And when someone like Piers Morgan undermines that, it's a personal challenge she cannot ignore. Harry, witnessing this, reportedly felt torn. He wanted to support Meghan, but he also worried about the long-term implications of any reaction. The Sussexes had cultivated a brand, built a narrative, and established public sympathy over the years, but the Morgan interview threatened to unravel all of it. He was trying to be the voice of reason, a source said. He reminded Meghan that perception is reality, but she was in full defensive mode. It was a tense dynamic. By late evening, the Sussex residence had become a war room. Notes were drafted, calls made, strategies debated, legal teams weighed options, PR consultants suggested a measured response. But Meghan remained unyielding, insisting on immediate action and public engagement. Harry, frustrated and exhausted, reportedly took a step back, realizing that for all his support, some battles had to be fought on Meghan's terms, and so the day ended with no resolution. Just the simmering tension of what would come next. Morgan's interview had set off a chain reaction, and for Meghan Markle the fallout was personal, public, and inescapable. Harry stood beside her, but even he knew that navigating the storm ahead would require every ounce of strategy, patience, and resilience the couple could muster. One thing was clear, this was far from over. If you want to stay updated on every twist in this royal saga, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment below.